Hello, this is part 2 of talking about either torticollis or a head preference in a baby. So a head preference is where you notice that your baby is always looking to one side. So if you put your baby down flat, the head only goes to one side, it doesn't go to the other side. Now, this can be just a position in utero that's made them preference their head to one side. But what do we do about it? So first of all, if your baby is preferencing your head to one side, you may want to, when you lay your baby down to sleep, just very gently straighten the head up. However, if the head preference is less of a head preference and more of what we call a torticollis, which is where the head is stuck to the side or really doesn't like moving, it can be very, they're very small and we don't want to hurt them. I mean, I doubt that you're going to hurt them, but it can be very intimidating moving your baby's head. So what I would recommend is doing something that I call roly-poly. I had a mums and bubs yoga class a while ago who used to call this one pig on a spit. But basically you take 2 hands in one hand, 2 feet in the other hand, and you just roll your baby over to the opposite side. Now, the baby's not going to want to keep their head up. Because of gravity, that's very far this way. So you roll over to the side, you just wait as long as you need to wait, and eventually the baby is going to turn their own head. Maybe it won't be all the way straight, but it should be a little bit further towards straight. Once the baby has shifted their own head, very, very slowly, so as not to encourage that head to turn back, you're going to start to put them on their back. And hopefully the head will stay looking up towards the ceiling or a little bit over to the preference side, but a little bit more straight. If they've got a head preference and you flip them over to the side and the head doesn't move, then I would suggest you definitely go and see somebody, because it's probably really stuck in there and probably actually needs some professional help to get it to release, maybe the muscles of the shoulders, maybe the muscles of the neck. If your baby is a little bit older or it's during the day and you're watching your baby, you might even pop a rolled up towel or face washer underneath that shoulder there so that the baby is still tilted over a little bit but on their back, just to keep their head straight. Because even on this kind of angle, this baby is not going to want to turn their head this way. Yep. That's particularly useful if your baby has been laying on the one side so much that that side of the head is getting flat. And whilst sorting out all of this, we also really want to make sure that that head doesn't get any flatter. The next thing is that if your baby has a preference to one side, we really want to try to encourage the baby to go to the other side. So whenever we're doing anything with the baby, talking to the baby, playing with the baby, we want to approach them from this opposite side. They will turn towards voices and people. They will also turn towards the smell of breast milk if they're a breastfed baby. So if you're sleeping with them next to you in either a bassinet or a co-sleeper or however you are sleeping, ideally you want to sleep on this side of them to encourage them to turn their head towards that smell of breast milk. If you're a non-breastfeeding parent, don't worry about it. They might more frequently turn towards you but it's usually the smell of breast milk overnight that will encourage them to turn. So we always try and approach them to their non-preferred side. If you're popping them down in front of a window or under a tree, those are all very stimulating things that the baby's going to want to look at. We want it to be on this side. If you're playing with a rattle, you want to be rattling it on this side. You might need to start on this side to gain their attention and their eyes, and come this way. If they have a very strong head preference, there's a good chance that you will rattle it. You'll get to a certain point and they'll go, nah, that's too hard, I'm not going any further, and then come back. And you just kind of keep doing that. Yep. To try and get them. Obviously, this baby's not going to look towards the rattle. Lastly, head preferences. When you pick your baby up in this kind of preference, your baby's either going to turn towards you or they're going to turn away from you. Yep. Doesn't matter whether they're turning towards you or away from you. If your baby has a head preference, try to change sides that you pick your baby up. If your baby doesn't have a head preference, I wouldn't worry too much about changing sides. It's best for you if you do change sides, but it doesn't seem to make a huge amount of difference. But if your baby has a head preference, make sure that you're picking them up over the shoulders nice and evenly. Lastly, tummy time. So if your baby's got a head preference over to this is the baby's right, often when you'll put them on tummy time, the head will stay over to the right. So again, we just pop the toys on the opposite side of the baby or rattle them across. Yep, to try and just encourage that turning over to the other side. Often if there's a head preference here, then it's even harder for them to go the other way, because it's not only that head preference and the joints being a little bit stuck or the shoulder being a little bit stuck, but it's also the muscles to get the head to turn. All of these things will really, really help. If you don't notice a fairly quick change, it doesn't have to change completely to being central or to going to either side, but if you don't notice a change, then I would take them to somebody to help even that up. If their head is preferenced to one side, it can be a little bit more difficult for feeding, but it can also change and alter the shape of the head. So I'm hoping that we get to some of these babies and even up the head preference before we have any change in the shape of the head. And definitely if there's change to the shape of the head, then come in and see someone. All right, thank you.